make this fun, grungy tag today. It has some acetate on the front with a Tim Holtz, I'm not sure what they're called, portraits inside, and some texture on here. And we have a little pocket in the back where you can put a tag in. All right, so let me show you how to make one of these. Set this over here. So these time cards, you can find them just about anywhere. They measure 3.25 inches wide by 8.25 inches long. So the first thing that I do is grungy up the edges with some ink. And you can use, I'm using Vintage Photo, but you can use whatever you want to use. We're just going to ink up the edges a little bit. All right, now what we want to do is get some book page and some spots on the tag. And I've just got some book page here. And this cool vintage German font. I'm not sure what it's called, but it is German. Let me get all these margins off. Okay, so what I do is just take some glue and put it in different spots. Tear off a piece of book page. Get that pressed down. Let's put a little bit down here. We'll put the rest of it over here. And you want to let that dry. And then we're going to tear the book page back off. And it sort of leaves all these little faint lines around the border. So once that's dry, then we'll come right back. Okay, this is dry now. So we're going to start tearing these papers off. And you can see what it does. You just want to make sure you get all any loose bits torn off. Okay. So that's good. Push all that aside. I'm just feeling to make sure I don't have any more loose edges. Okay, now we want to take our Vintage Photo again and just kind of go around those edges to grungy them up a bit. Okay, now we want to bring in our colors here. I'm going to be using peeled paint and wild honey. So I'm going to start with the wild honey. We're just going to add some water to it. And then dip our card in. Okay, and then dry that. Let's just mop up this. All right, now let's add our peeled paint. And then make sure that your first ink is really dry. So I'm going to dip this in now. I think that's enough. Let's go ahead. And now let's dry this. All right. Now I have some white splatters on here, so let's go ahead. Actually, on this one, I think I'm going to do some black splatters. But I have a stamp for that, and I think that will be all that we need. All right, this is all nice and dry now. So we want to now cut a hole. Now you can use whatever paper punch you have. I have this 2.5 inch oval punch, which I used here, and I'm going to use it again. But you can use a circle, a square. You can cut it out with a die cut. Just use whatever it is that you have. And I am just eyeballing this. And I'm going to push it in all the way. It won't go to the middle. I don't care about that. But I don't want it all the way to the top either. So I'm just going to punch the hole. And then I'm going to take my black ink and we're going to go around the edges. Put a piece of acetate now back behind here. I'm going to use double-sided tape to do that. Or you can glue it down, either one. All right, and we just want to, we're on the back side of the time card now. We're just going to center this over the oval. And I picked another picture. And we're going to glue her down. And I'm using art glitter glue for that, as soon as I can find it. You can also cut the bottom of this off, since we really don't need the whole thing. All right. It's got some trash on there. All right, I think that looks good. Let's get that straight. You have a little bit of wiggle room because it's sitting on top of that acetate, but not much. Now, we don't want this to be on the back, so we're going to cover that up. And I have some craft cardstock here that I'm going to glue to the back. But before I do that, This tag, I fold it so that it's 6 inches long. So let's do the same thing here. And that gives us a nice little size pocket on the back. I'll burnish that down. More paper to tear off. Cool. Okay, that's not wiggling anymore. All right, I'm going to round the corners like I did here. You don't need to do that. You can leave them sharp if you wish, but I'm going to round mine. Now let's glue this cardstock to the back. And because I'm going to sew around the tag, so I'm just going to use glue stick for this. You don't need to go down into the pocket area. We don't need it there. Okay. And that's going to provide some nice writing space on the back of that tag. Okay, let me just go ahead and get that cut. Okay. All right, I put a little thumb notch in this one, so let's do the same thing here. Use this instead. Just eyeball in the center. All right, on this one, I have a little sticker. So before I sew around that, I'm going to go ahead and place my sticker. I think I'm going to go with that. All right, and before we sew again, I need to add a little topper. I think if we grungy this up a little bit, this one will work. Yep. All right, let's glue that down. All right, I'm going to go sew around all of this, and in doing so, I'll catch the sides of my pockets. Now, if you do not want to sew, just glue these edges down, okay? And I see that I have not inked those, so let me do that real quick. And then I'll sew, and then I'll come right back, see what we have. Okay, I've sewn all the way around. Our pockets are good. Our pocket is good, and so you can see you can slip something down in there, whatever you'd like. So now let's add these little bits on the front. So I've got a piece of cheesecloth on the bottom, and we'll just kind of put some fabric tack down. And it's okay if it's hanging off the edge. All right, and then I have these little embroidered flowers here that I think I'm going to put down. I actually do not know which is the front and which is the back. I think this is the front. And we're going to add those right there on top of the cheesecloth. So let me put a little bit of glue on this. And as usual, I am covered in glue. That's okay. And we're going to add a little bit of bling here at the top. I think I'm going to put 4. So here we go. I think that looks really pretty. Okay, guys, that's the video for today. I like this project because you can, if you have any of these, if you don't, just use a piece of cardstock. You can, and maybe do some stamping on it before you add your inks and stuff. But this is a good way to use up old scraps of book page that they're too small to do anything with. Pull out some of those Oxide inks that you never use. This is a fun way to use them. And you have some nice little ephemera. It's neutral enough that you can put in any journal. So guys, if you had any questions, as usual, please put them down in the comments below. And if there's anything you'd like to see me do in a future video, you can put those in the comments as well. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.